Hi. What's up? It's skycat.live. It is 7:40 p.m. 11/16/2023. Just woke up. That is a Thursday, November 16, 2023. And today is a good day because I get to be here with you. And I enjoy it. I do. I love it. Yeah. We got one viewer as usual, which is good. And there we go. And okay. And there we go. And let's just move up here. Now, we are going to play some WoW, some EvE, and some FFXI today, as usual. It was a good day, and it is time to go to work. And I don't have much to say, so I'm just going to get to it. And thank you so much for your time. Now, I will be getting to it here. I'm just going to get to it here. And thank you so much. Yep, I don't have much to say today. There's not too much to talk about. So we're going to go back to scene. We're going to take my camera off and activate. There we go. And let us go to work. It'll be a good night. Oh, I also have my sound muted. Oops. There we are. Okay, there we are. Oh, really? The first cast? You just couldn't even handle the first cast? Couldn't we, like, do a cast at least without some kind of software incompetence? There you go. I guess I should go to the cook and just cook for free until all that stuff's, like, cycled out. I don't know. I could sell some stuff. How is sound looking? Sound's looking good. Yeah. It is all looking good. Looking good. Selling stuff. I don't know if I need to sell stuff. I could sell that. That. And just out of curiosity, how much is that? That's like 30 silver. How about that? Nice. That's like 20. Not bad, not bad. I'll sell those for like a silver piece, yeah. Cool. Buffs will go across my bar. Yes, across the top, and we will begin here, I believe. Yeah, we'll go buff, 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 buff. Okay, so first place I go is well, first thing I have to do is get out to the belt. That's the first thing. So, yes, undock. Looking pretty good, yeah. So, let's make some more money. Yesterday, I made 100 million off of mining, barely even trying. And I really like that. So I'm going to, that's like 1/3 of the ship's price, you know what I'm saying? Hope you got some good rest. What's up, number 2? Oh, yes, yeah, and I got my, tomorrow I'll have my sleeping pills. I just forgot to order them. I was a day late on ordering them and stuff, so and my schedule is just fucking crazy without it. I'll go 23 hours on, 14 off, 16 on, 8 off, 12 on, 12 off, 16 on, 7 on, 13 off, 24 on, 16 off. Yesterday was 19 on, 7 off. I don't know. I don't. My sleep schedule is not normal. I've never met anybody. I've never even heard of anybody with a sleep schedule like mine. Not even drug addicts. And I've never met anybody who could stand it. And I've never met anybody who could even live in the same house as me. Because I never ever do sleep the same time each day. And really, that is like pretty much the opposite of the rest of the human race. And I don't like being like that. I just am. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm loving the loyalty. Thank you, number two. Don't forget, I'm always aware that you're in the background and stuff, and I don't mean to ignore you. I just, you know, playing 3 games at once and is a lot of focus and stuff. But you are the most welcome addition I've ever had in my channel. You know, like, thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me, and I would do the same for you if I could. You know. Thank you so much. And, you know, it's good that I at least reached one person. I think the business itself is so, what's the word, like the attention span of the culture itself and the people isn't too high. And I set out to reach people like you, and I knew that people like you are like a diamond in the rough, right? And that I'd have to dig and dig and dig for my diamonds to find maybe, I don't know, maybe in 10 years, I figured I'd find 100 people who actually might have the attention span to actually watch me. And so going into this, I knew I was never going to make it. You know, it's not like I care, or I don't care if I make it or not. But, like, you know, it's like I'm going into it, I knew it was going to be like mining for diamonds, you know? And I'd have to get through a lot of dirt and a lot of rock and a lot of fucking just, like, people that didn't have the attention span or just didn't have the interest or didn't share the same interests or couldn't stand seeing 3 games at once or can't stand that I'm not playing a certain game or any of these other things. And like, you're my first diamond in the rough. I've gone through 200 and I think, no, it's more than that. Yeah, it's been like 200 and I think 50 people, something like that. All of them tried to stay. You were the only person that actually had the wherewithal to do it, and I want to say thank you. Well, no, it means a lot to me. All you do is sit here and watch me, you know? It means a lot to me. You're the one doing the hard work, you know what I'm saying? This is easy for me. This is just my life. But for you, it's like you actually have to like pay attention and stuff. You're the one doing the work. You know, you paid your people bills just by being here. Thank you. Yeah, it's a good time, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I reached at least one person. I knew that even my friends weren't going to be able to stand what I was doing. Going into it, I was like, I don't know any. The day before I started, I had this like oh shit, I'm gonna do this moment, where I was like, I don't think anyone in the world is going to share the same interest. Not the same interest, but I don't think anyone, it was like, I knew going into it, I was like, nobody, not even my friends and family, are going to have the kind of patience required to just sit and put me on in the background. I didn't think I knew anybody, not my most patient friends that I've ever met. I was like, literally, I was like, your audience will be 0 for many years. And I told myself this going into it. I was like, you will have 0 viewership for at least a year. And I was very surprised how much I had even from the start. But I was also like, because I was like, yeah, I don't think they really understand who I am. I don't think any of those people understood who I was or what I do, except you. And I want to say thank you for that. I don't think most people had any clue, or that my attention span was going to waver or move so much that, you know, that like, you know, that I just couldn't focus on one game, and that I wouldn't be very appealing to people because I wasn't playing their game for very long. I was like this, like going into it with the life philosophy I have, which is if something looks familiar, then something is wrong. Like, for instance, the only reason I'm able to play these old MMOs is when I was playing the game, I was never sitting around fishing. I was in Sky doing raids and alliances and stuff, and building link shells and corporations and guilds. Back then, my life did not look like this. This is not familiar to me. Being able to, I mean, fishing was familiar to me, but not sitting there being able to do it without any pressure all day and just enjoying it for the income that it makes. Mining was not something that I sat around and did unless I was trying to raise money for a PvP ship. And hardcore was something I never, ever, ever would have done, ever. Well, I mean, I did do it, but I did it from like an Iron Man push and stuff. And and I never dreamed I would ever just take any of this like a lifestyle and just live it, you know? And so even now, none of this stuff feels or looks familiar to me. None of the fishing. I had to learn how to do. Okay, I had to learn how to fish like this in 2017 when I was 36 years old. I did not fish like this. Not until I was like 36. This does not look or feel familiar to me, and I'm liking that it does feel familiar to me because I've never had familiarity almost my whole life. It's like kind of crazy to have something I can always fall back on that I really enjoy. It like fishing in Final Fantasy XI is like a hobby for me. It's like trimming bonsai plants or shooting at ducks or playing chess or like looking at your eyebrows in the mirror or whatever it is you like to do. And like but it still doesn't feel familiar to me, even though I've done it for 5 years, because I still spent 20 years before that not doing this. It's not very familiar to me, being able to sit down and just chill and gather some income and not have to freak out. And so going into it, I knew I was like, I'm gonna have to hunt. I would say that the most drastic way the most drastic way. Sorry, my screen got all black. The most drastic way that Disney ever affected me was this concept. There was two ways. It was in two different movies, Aladdin and Robin Hood. And I'll use the Aladdin reference where they mentioned that Aladdin is like the diamond in the rough, and that no matter where he is, even in the slums of the city in Arabia, or any of that stuff, it doesn't matter who or what he is, he was always going to get the princess in the end, and he was always going to slay Jafar, and he was always going to fucking, or whatever the fucking bad guy's name is or whatever, and he was always going to be who he was, whether he was a street rat or a beggar or a thief or any of that stuff, he was always going to be who he was. And so diamonds in the rough was how Disney used to use, was the metaphor that Disney used for this reference, right? And going into it, like the day before, I remember sitting here and having panic attacks, and I was like, I'm a diamond in the rough, and I have to go find the diamonds in the rough that actually have the fucking attention span to actually enjoy this for what it is. And I want to thank you for being that diamond in the rough. It means a lot to me because I'm not blind to it. I'm not unaware of how difficult it is to do it. I'm not like, and it's not like being like a viewer or something like makes you that special. It's that seeing the quality for what it is makes you special. Most people can't. Every day, something like 6,500 people come through my channel, and I know because if you look at my Twitch, right, you're gonna see this thing roll. Like just since you started speaking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people came through. But it's not just here; it's on YouTube. Occasionally, it's on Kick and stuff. You'll see all these like, "Welcome to the chat room. Welcome to the chat room." And this is Twitch concealing who it is from me, so I don't know who's in my chat room, which is one of the reasons why I never wanted to be that much of an affiliate of Twitch. And there's another one, right? Like there's a lot of people coming in all the time. And some nights, like Friday and Saturday, it is thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You can just watch it roll all day long. I stopped watching it my first year because I was like, Jesus Christ, I have a turnover of 0.7 seconds or so. It's a little bit longer than that. It's like a 3.6 second turnover. They don't stay even 5 seconds before they're gone. When they see how fat I am, when they see how old I am, when they see that I'm playing an old game, or that I don't look famous to them, or that I don't look very happy or upbeat or shiny or bubbly. I don't have crap all over my screen. I don't have some chat thing dominating it. So they think, oh, he must be boring. He doesn't care about his chat and all this other stuff. And it's actually true. All these things are true. But like, and so they leave, and I was like, okay, I understand what this is now. It's like panning for gold in the river, and you silt, and you keep sifting and sifting the silt, trying to find the flecks of gold of people who have the attention span to enjoy this for what it is, people who are looking for long form, the stuff that's in my Twitch chat tags, right? People looking for American stuff, people looking for solo stuff, people looking for the MMO lifestyle stuff, people looking for React content, people looking for English content, people looking for just chatting like all over the board, all kinds of topics. People looking for MMORPG stuff, people looking for me, people looking for gaming, and people looking for long form. All of those, and I had to very carefully pick these 10 because you only get 10. Add up to 10 tags, right? So I was like, who am I? What am I? And, you know, and so I moved forward with it. And I want to say, like, I think I kind of got, like, the long way around to getting to what I was trying to say. Thank you for being my piece of gold, the gold at the end of the rainbow, showing me that it is possible to actually reach somebody in this fractured 3 to 7 second. Literally, it's like the turnover. They leave the channel in 3 to 7 seconds. They come in, they leave, and like, and it's okay. I'm not who they're looking for. They're looking for people who have clout, people who have money, people who look like they're setting the trend, people who look like they're young, people who look like they matter, people who look like they have some kind of sway, people who look like they have power, people who look like they have like physicality or raw emotion or intelligence, all that stuff. And I'm sure I do check some of those, you know, some of those lists for people, but like to be all of it all at once is something I can never be. And you watch them cycle out when you realize that, when they realize and you realize that you aren't what they were looking for and they weren't who you were looking for. And so I try and connect the dots, trying to reach. I sip the mud from the water in the pan all day long, trying to find pieces of gold like you that can actually see it for what it is. And most people can't. And this is a reoccurring theme throughout my life. When I was a punk singer, it was like this because I attempted to bring no-effects, anti-government, anti-fucking Republican, anti-fucking fascist, anti-fucking goose-stepping, anti-Nazi, all the same thing, by the way, anti-CIA assassination, anti-COINTELPRO, all the same thing. Republicans, like killers, Nazis, rapists, they're all the same things, have the same titles, roll in the same groups, all that stuff. I was so anti-this, and anti-that, anti-this, and anti-man. And I went to the stage trying to sound like Nirvana mixed with Marilyn Manson mixed with my favorite punk band 15. And I tried to reach, I must have saw in my career, I saw something like 32,000 people come across my stage, but I only reached about 115. Something like that. And I know because I know them like you. I know who they are. I know the people. And this is the nature of the business and being in entertainment and stuff. If you're general and you're easy to like and you've got a suit and you've got the backing and you've got the money and the lawyers and the producers and the directors and the writers and you got the backing of the people and all this stuff, and you're not DIY and you have huge fucking corporations and you have people protecting you and you've got the greatest cable access to your television show on the Atlantic seaboard and all this crazy shit, right? Like, it still doesn't matter. Like, you'll do better and you'll reach millions of people, but you won't reach the millions of people that matter. And I want to say thank you for being one of those people that actually mattered. It gives me the faith to continue on, knowing that if I can reach at least one person in the 7 billion, there are others like you, and I can sift through the pan in the river for the next 50 years until I can find about 100 people like you, and I will have found what's the word? Like, I would have found my validation on the streamer side of things, but going on in the background was what I intended to always do, which was to record the videos in the background, put them on my YouTube channel, and try to mass appeal from that direction, where they can watch my videos, and if they don't like, they can go watch one of the other 10 billion videos out there. And that's okay, but at least the personal history is there every single day. And so it brings, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's hard for me to get emotional about it because I've been doing this for 2 years and it's like normal for me, but I get emotional when I think about it still to this day. Each day it gets a little bit harder to do it because I've been doing it for so long, but I get emotional when I think that I did reach somebody of high value like you, and I do want to say thank you, because I have sifted through, I would say it's somewhere up where around 60,000 people now have come through my channel, and only one of them was somebody I actually reached. And this was how being in a band was. This is what mass appeal is. This is, I mean, you can't expect 60,000 people to come through and just instantly like you unless you're flashing your vagina or setting your hair on fire or starting a fucking riot in Central Park or something like that. You can't expect 60,000 people to march through and keep their interest unless you are literally on fire, literally flashing vagina or tits, or literally like inciting a revolution in front of their eyes. There's only one way to keep 60,000 people coming through your channel. There's only one way to do it, and that was not viable for me. So thank you for being one of those people that end up being the diamonds in the rough, you know? Oh no, you didn't sidetrack me. This is not sidetracking. This is the content I set out to do. This is the content I set out to do. This is as far from sidetracking as this channel gets. I mean, I'm talking about the value of the human race. It isn't much. 1 in 100,000 people have value in this world. And that sounds like some kind of sick, like, Hitler genocidal thing, but I'm not talking about that weird eugenics shit. I'm talking about the actual fucking reality of things. There is like 1 in 100,000 people actually do anything productive in this world. And it sucks. Like, there are diamonds in this rough. There are diamonds in the rough in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wrote a song about this. You've heard it before. It's called, you know, Trouble Travels in Threes, where like the lyrics are, you know, Trouble Travels in Threes, like, gotta go to my own thing here. Like, I wrote a song about this, literally talking about it, like, you know, Trouble, right? Trouble was a good song. As I grow more mature and I begin to see the world around us for what the fuck it is, I realize that I wasn't the only winner here. You're one of the other ones. You're one of the other ones. This is part of this is not sidetracked to me. This is what I came here to do. This stuff. Understanding the value is sifting through the wheat, looking, you know, for like sifting the chaff from the wheat and all this. I got so used to seeing people who, you know, as I grow up and become more mature and begin to see the world around us for what the fuck it is, I realize that I wasn't the only winner here. Do you see it? Like, it was always here, this stuff. There were other greater fools. And I don't mean to call people fools. I don't mean to call you a fool. I'm making a reference to something called greater fools. It's an econ or economic phrase that means that you believe in the value of something despite whatever its market value is. And you believe in it so much so that you're willing to pay more money for it or deal with more hassle because of it, or put up with the seller or do this other thing because you believe in the product so much that you are a greater fool because you'll even pay more money than other people will to support it because you believe in it so much. There were other greater fools. I wrote a song about this. You witnessed me do it live. I think you were there for that. I got so used to seeing people who give up inside of 3 to 7 seconds at the first sign of trouble that I just gave up, but I didn't say that part of it. It was too negative. As I grow better, as I grow stronger, as I note with heavy regret and sorrow that trouble travels in threes. They come in big packs like this. They sniff you out like some kind of predatory fucking pack. When you aren't what they're looking for, they leave, thank God, or they just eat you, one or the other. And if you ought to want to give up at the first sign of trouble, like all of these people, and not look for something greater in the things that you see on the screen in front of you, be it signs of trouble or insurmountable odds or violence or greed or any of that stuff, if you're just liable to just give up inside of 3 to 10 seconds because whatever it is wasn't what you immediately liked, a loss of that which you care most about, be it the win or otherwise, you now have a sickness that I feel only the positivity and the kindness of those of others around you could ever possibly cure. You pick something up, you sniff it, it's not what you wanted from the get-go, so you just put it back down again. And I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about like the royal you, like if people just pick something up, sniff it, it's not what they're looking for, and they just put it back down again, rather than looking a little bit deeper beyond the you know, like what did Lana say in Brooklyn Baby? Like, Lana talked about this, right? In Brooklyn, she said they judge me, like this is that thing, like I wrote a song about this, like they judge me like a picture book by the colors on the fucking cover, like they forgot to read. And so I did reach one person in 2 years, And I want to thank you for being that person. You know what I'm saying? They all come in, they judge me like a picture book by the colors. I'm fat or I'm old or something. They want to see young and rich and successful with 5 women around and all this other crazy shit. I'm not that. I'm not that. I've never been that. I'm not, you know, like they judge me like a picture book by the colors, like they forgot to read. And so thank you for being that diamond in the rough that is the exception. You know, there's always some exception of somebody who can see the thing for the value of what it is, despite its rough edges, despite its problems. There's always a greater fool. There's always a diamond in the rough. And the only people that I kept in my life were diamonds in the rough. I don't know anybody. I know it sounds like a fucking exaggeration, but I mean this. I don't hang out with, and I don't know anybody that isn't a fucking 1 in a million diamonds in the rough person. And there's only about 15 of them in my life, and you're one of them. And this isn't me trying to kiss your ass or try to curry favor with you or pay people bills or any of this shit. This is the Toasted Toad's truth. It's the Toasted Toad's truth, you know? Yeah, heart sign, you know what I'm saying? Like I see you through the heart, you know, I'm not blind to it. And thank you for being there, you know? Like, it's good that somebody did see it. I was very surprised that you stuck around because almost nobody else did. Well, I mean, yeah, people did, but they were all people that I can't stand that aren't diamonds in the rough. You know what I'm saying? Nobody that came through here. There's 2 people that have come through here that were diamonds in the rough. It's you and my friend Dave. That's it. Which is sad. So I sifted through 65,000 people. I found the 2 diamonds in the rough. I gained thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of viewership and all this. And I will continue on this journey until the day that I die. And I assume, like anything else, that if you just keep grinding and you keep pushing and you keep trying and you believe in yourself and you don't give up, that you'll finally be able to sift enough flecks of gold out of the silt that you might actually be able to go to town, buy a horse, and use the horse to ride your people and your family out of the problem, right? And that's what I'm trying to do. So thank you. You know, you did not sidetrack me. This, honestly, all the rest of it, the games and the EVE Online and the fucking fishing and the hardcore, that's all sidetrack. This stuff about reaching, doing the mechanics of like I don't know what you would call this, but I believe the closest word that you could say, I don't believe there is a word for this in the English language, but the closest one that we have is like neurolinguistics. But that's not what I do. Neurolinguistics are not what I do. I'm talking about, I am an endless generator meant to provide energy to everyone around me who is a diamond in the rough. And there's a reason why my name is Catalyst or Skycat or Cat Sky or something like that. I was the catalyst for 25 years. I was the catalyst in my crew. I was the catalyst in my band. I was the catalyst in my raid. I was the catalyst on the server. I'm the main character on the motherfucking server. I switched and changed everybody I ever met, got them to look at life a little bit differently, and most of them were not worthy of it. And it sucks, and I hate to, and I'm not trying to discount them or say that I don't want them in my life, or that they aren't wonderful people, or that I don't love them and I wouldn't die for them, because I would. But like there's those, that's my people I'm talking about. But are they diamonds in the rough? The answer is no. They were not the people that I set out looking for, and frankly I kicked almost all of them. Even though they have a lot of intrinsic high value, and I really like almost all of them. I really like them, but they were not the gold that I was seeking. You know, they were not, the princess was in another castle. They were not, they were not the community I was trying to build. And if I have to sift through looking for diamonds like you in all of the sands of Arabia to find my diamonds in the rough, I will do so. And I figured that's what this would be when I started out, and it has been. And if I find one person every 2 years, guess what? After 50 years, I will have found, if I find 2 people every 2 years, in 100 years, in 50 years when I stop this, I will have found the 100 diamonds in the rough that I was looking for, that I set out to get, that I knew I was going to have to just sift through the entire fucking river that is humanity, like through all the mud in the beautiful mud and the beautiful water, trying to find my flecks of gold in the fucking river, before they shoot me in the back and steal the gold, shoot me with a high power rifle from across the street and steal the gold. like they did to John Lennon and, you know, Martin Luther King. And, you know, I figured at the end of it, they would shoot me with a high power rifle from across the street. And that was the other big, there was like two things that I fucking had a panic attack about before I started, which was that I knew I wasn't going to reach anybody, not right away, and it was going to be depressing. And then the other thing is I knew that in the end, if I reached my 100 viewership, most people want 100 million. I want 100 viewership of the best people in the world, right? I don't care about the other wheat and chaff. I'm not after that. And when I got my 100, I figured they would shoot me with a high power rifle from across the street. So I didn't want a lot of this. I don't want the money. I don't want the clout. I don't want 5 women running around my apartment like Ms. Kiff or whatever the fuck. I'm not after that shit. I don't care about that. Fuck the G-Ride. I want the machines that are making them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not after small, like I'm mass politicking here. Like, is you or is you not my constituency? I'm mass politicking here. I'm not trying to reach one by one people who disapprove of me because I dislike their fucking political fucking affiliations or their beliefs about women or their beliefs about gender orientations or any of this shit, or any of the fucking tribalism or any of that shit. That is so fucking far from what my reality is that it doesn't even enter into my thinking. But you do. You are the goal that I am trying to reach, and thank you. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I give you enough recognition, so I will do like a published half an hour like tirade on my channel trying to show the world, whether they watch this ever or not, that I was not in this I was not into this to cater to clowns. And it doesn't surprise me that after 18 months I only reached one person, but that's what thank God I did reach one person, you know. Thank you for that. And with that, I promise to do better and try to make this better every day. I try to do a little bit better, try to change it, try to evolve, try to get my old friends in here that are also diamonds in the rough. Like I talked to my friend Pedro this morning. That guy's a scarab lord mount. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the top 100 players or whatever it is, top 200 players in the history of World of Warcraft. That guy is a living fucking god, a fucking, you know, a veritable living god. I am a golden god, like Almost Famous or whatever. That guy's a literal fucking golden god. And it doesn't surprise me when he whispers me and comes into my channel like an old friend from 10 years ago, and we end up talking for 2 hours and shit. It doesn't surprise me, you know, because like those were the gold that I sifted at. That was the diamonds in the rough, the gold that I sifted out of the sand of the desert. You know, he was one of them. You're one of them. Bagon's one of them. My friend Tay's like that. My friend Dino's like that. My friend Loot Goblin's like that. They're like in the last year I met out of the two. I'm sorry. I've got another one called Smithy. There was another one named Smithy. He was like that. So there's like 7 of the 200 people that I ran with in the last 2 years. There was 7 that I thought were it's not like they're all really high value people, but there was like 7 that I thought fit the Ender's Game tune. One's Petra, one's Bean, one's Fly Molo, one's, I mean, who was Ender's Dragon Army, right? I'm looking for Ender's Dragon Army in humanity, and I figure I would sift through 100 million people before the timer was up. I figured I would, and eventually, you know, the dragon army, right, was the most notorious. It was Ender, Wigan, Fly, Molo, Vlad, Crazy Tom, Bean, Ducavel, Nikolai Delfiki. We gotta love our Russians. You know what I'm saying? Hot Soup, Dumper, Woo, Seamus, Anwar, and Surya Wong. This was the known members of Ender's Dragon Army. I knew that I would have to sort through the entirety of all of humanity to find them, but I looked, you know what I'm saying? And I suspect you're one of them, or you wouldn't be here, you know what I'm saying? The rest of them can leave, as far as I'm concerned. I don't give a flying fuck if they do leave, or whether they pay me or not. The rest of them can leave, as far as I'm concerned. You know, so there you go. This is that emotional thing. I'm not fucking around with this. I've never been fucking around with this. I knew it would take me years and years, but eventually I would reach people, you know? And so thank you for being like that. Thank you for being one of those that actually saw it for what it is. It makes me emotional. It's not some fucking like video game stream. It's something more than that. It's always been something more than that. And when I had my 100 out of the how many people watch Twitch each day? 250 million or something like that, right? When I have my 100 out of that 250 million, I can die a happy man, because those are the 100 that I think are going to be worth a damn. The rest of them are worried about Jake Paul. You know, frankly, they are. The rest of them are worried about fucking Jake Paul. Like, I'm sorry, but I just don't. I cannot relate. I can't relate to that. You know, it's just not me. I'm sorry, that's not me. I care about Jake Paul too, but I like. But it's not. It's not like, you know. It's not what I set out. It's not what I set out for.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar.
Thank you, some ordinary gamers. We're gonna finally get off the sidetrack, which is actually the main this is MSQ. This is not some sidetrack. This is MSQ. It really is. This shit was MSQ. I rarely ever get to do MSQ, and I want to thank you. This is main story quest. You are the reason that I do this. People like you are the reason that I do this. I could give a flying fuck if 750 million people watch me and each pay me $1. I don't give a flying fuck about that. I'm looking for the actual quality people that are here. I don't give a flying fuck about money. That's not why I went out to do this, you know, or cloud or reach or any of that stuff. And I try to tell people like Tay, I don't think he can understand. He's a wonderful, wonderful person, but he's like, how do you throw cloud away like that? Oh, because I don't like humanity. I like 100 people in humanity maybe, but I don't like humanity, you know, so it's pretty easy for me to shut him out. You know, no, my parents and nobody else has ever understood it. My friends don't like it. My exes don't like it. Nobody's ever really liked it. But I'm on some fucking mission. I don't know what the fuck it is. But I was put here to do something, and I don't know what it is. I've never met anybody who liked it. They're like, you're on some higher fucking thing. I did it to a mortal kid the other day, like 2 days ago. He was like, hey, you want to be my friend? You want me to train you the game and all this stuff? I can tell that you're new and you're actually skilled and you can do this. And hey, we can be a catalyst for each other. And I was like, no. No. The answer is no. Anybody who would ask me is a no. I mean, no.
Virus bomb with 30 million.
Like, but you, the answer is yes. There's a difference. Like you get the yes. And it's like, what it looked like, Blow. I look like yes, you look like no. And that was the attitude that he stepped with. So I said no. People like you, I would say yes, because there's a difference. Like the diamonds in the rough, they don't ask for anything unless they actually need it. You know what I'm saying? That guy needed something. And the minute that you need something from me, I'm not fucking interested.
Viruses that I'm going to be making a virus investigations video.
If you're not strong enough to be your own source of everything that you need, I'm not interested in you. If you need something at all, if you need something from this world that you don't have, I'm not interested in you. And that's kind of crazy, but it's like, if you need something, if you are not strong enough to have everything that you want in this world right now today at the age of 30 or 40 or whatever, 20 or even 20, if you are not strong enough to have what you need right now today in the moment, I am not interested in you. And often it's mental stuff. If you are not happy mentally, ugh.
But that's not today's video, simply because as you buy things, they ship over to your house. So right now, I am actually having...
So we're going to watch Mutahar here for just 30 seconds. Give him the FaceTime that he deserves. Really wonderful man. We're going to deactivate and activate here. And we're going to watch him talk for a minute. And I'm going to get off this weird, crazy, indescribable, totally random, totally incomprehensible, complete blather of utter bullshit that has no basis in science or reality. Basically, magic is what I'm talking about. It's like magic. I'm talking about magic here. I don't know what the fuck else to do it, but I have been a practitioner of magic all my goddamn life, and I am not fucking interested in the 750 million fucking muggles that come through my channel every single fucking day. I'm not looking for muggles. I'm looking for diamonds in the rough like you, and that's all I have to say about this.
A digital, I guess you could say, nuke sent over to my house, all right, which I'm actually really excited for, to be honest. Like, that is... I just want to destroy a computer that I pick up from the pawn shop, okay? I think that's going to be peak content. But ladies and gentlemen, you know what I think is also peak content? Is when Apple keeps taking fat L's. Now, as you all know, I'm not the biggest Apple fan in the world. I'm also not the biggest Apple hater.
Me neither. I'm not the biggest Apple hater. He said it so well. I am not an Apple fan, but I'm also not an Apple hater. I really like Apple. I just don't like the biopoly. But I mean, like, Apple themselves don't really have like Lolita Express skeletons in their past. They just have mismanagement in their past. That's it, which is a lot more honest than Microsoft.
But I want to start off by raising awareness to a serious mental health condition that we face in this part of the world, which is called blue bubble-itis. There's actually a group of adults, literally my age, that care about the colors of the bubbles, okay, on devices. Some people who would be willing to shame an individual for having a green bubble.
Oh, wait, no.
The reason why the colors of bubbles on messaging applications are so important for some iPhone users is for them, blue bubbles is a sign of wealth, success, and happiness, and green bubbles is a sign of poverty messaging into your group chats. Now, of course, I like to believe this is a small group of people. Most adults don't really care.
They don't.
Messaging somebody is just messaging somebody.
Yep.
But generally why the colors are different is Apple, with the iPhone, has something known as iMessage, which is a chat messaging...
Oh, so thank you, Mutahar, Some Ordinary Gamers, for the excellent content from my stream. I'd like to sub to your channel. This video is 4 hours. This video is brand new from 4 hours ago. It is pertinent.
Service that is enabled by default on iPhone devices. Meaning if you text another person with an iPhone, you won't send an SMS text message over the cellular service like you normally would. You're just going to communicate to them like you were using a standard chat messaging service, and it all happens dynamically on the fly. If it's one thing Apple is cool for, it's how dynamically their products work with one another without ever having the actual end user noticing.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I really value about Apple. Oh, do not fall. Is that all of their devices are seamlessly, coherently like combined, like the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and Vita. I think that was kind of like stolen from the Apple idea of mass compatibility. And this is one of the big wins in the fucking category on the side of Apple, is all of their devices are compatible with each other and do work with each other, unlike Windows. So I mean, like, this is one of those things that I mean, I would say this is the biggest thing about Apple that I actually like, is that all of their devices are all on the same wavelength, you know? Whereas Android is not like that. You might have terrible problems even getting Bluetooth to sync.
You get a green bubble. That's because sometimes your friend, your neighbor, your cousin, whatever, has an Android device. And Android is not iOS, okay? So when you send a message to an Android device, the iPhone, instead of sending an iMessage-based message, it defaults to a standard text messaging protocol, which means green bubble back and forth, okay? There's no iMessage at all. Now, there's a big problem with this. One of them is the fact that the quality of messages tend to fail. Now, Google has actually made a campaign year after year where they try to shame Apple into fixing their texting. If you think I'm wrong, literally they call the text messaging between iPhone and Apple the iPager, which is not too far off, because what you effectively have is a messaging experience where if you text message between iPhone and Android, the texts are fine, okay? You'll send like the word hello back and forth just fine. But things like read receipts, okay? Things like typing indicators. You know, when your girlfriend and you are having a fight and you see her little you see her little typing indicator pop up and you're like, oh shit, it's a breakup waiting to happen. You don't get that. You know, things like sending messages with photos and videos defaults to something known as MMS. And MMS is such old technology at this point. We are talking Nokia, Sony Ericsson days, okay? Remember the Sony Ericsson? Hold on, wait a minute, what am I doing? Hold up, we're talking the Gizmo! Or the photo and video sent is downright deplorably bad. We are talking...
I love this guy. He's an actual fucking good nerd. It's so rare. I can't believe he just dropped the Gizmondo.
you can watch right now.
And he did it in a style that isn't girl repellent. Do you see it? The background looks like a working man. This man gets play. His wife probably has to beat the women off with a stick. You know what I'm saying? This man gets play because there isn't girl repellent in the background. He looks like a real working man who might be making millions. And this guy, yeah, this guy's got it. There's girl repellent in the background, but not really. I think these are all devices women might actually really like.
We were talking audio quality versus walkie-talkie.
You can see it. He just won't do the girl repellent. He's not into it. He's got a wife. He doesn't need that image. He doesn't need that for some reason. I like it, and I think there's something very psychological. You could say something really psychological about what's in the background of people's cameras, right? For me, it's like a window. It's not like 50 billion games or whatever that I bought with daddy's money. It's like, you know,
house and phasmophobia. It's not a good experience, okay? So again, Android or Google likes to shame Apple, okay? They're like, yo,
yep.
Apple can fix this if they enable modern texting standards like RCS. Now, it pains me to say RCS is modern because RCS was basically brought into existence all the way back in February 2008, where the GSM Association became the home of rich chat services. Now, RCS is basically used by around 390 million people a month across 88 different cell phone operators in 59 countries, okay? And that's just since 2020. So again, if Apple just enabled this protocol within the messaging application, it wouldn't matter if the bubbles were green and blue. The exact feature set between all these devices would basically be the same. So it doesn't matter. The only people that get mad over the blue and green bubbles, I think, are those that find that the green bubbles offer less features than the blue. But whose fault is that? It's fucking Apple's, okay? If Apple got out of their ass, they might have changed things around. So this is where a area of the world known as the European Union comes into question. Now, remember a while back we talked about Apple and sideloading? Well, the thing known as Digital Markets Act, where the EU has actually walked in and talked about actual gatekeepers, meaning services that are so big, okay, that they are effectively gatekeeping required services for many people in the world. So again...
Okay, I really like this concept. Let's look at this. This looks very good.
That they are effectively gatekeeping, meaning where the EU has actually walked in and talked about actual gatekeepers, meaning
No fucking shit. I have suspected this for so long, but then you see a roster of the fucking criminals and the fucking damage they've done. It's like literally a criminal fucking graph of all the shitheads in the world and all the war crimes. I've never quite seen something like this. I'm taking a fucking screenshot of this. This is the problem with the world. It's right there, right there. This is the issue with the world right now. This is why we had Uvalde, Texas, right here. This and, well, that and overpopulation. When you mix this and overpopulation, you get the current modern world. Gatekeeper designations and overpopulation have taken us to a Uvalde, Texas, Columbine place. And it's mental health and it's gatekeeper designations and stuff. It's everything. It's all of it. I've taken a picture of that. That's incredibly fucking valuable. This is like that like in those detective movies when they're trying to catch the killer. This is that thing they do on the wall, like Pepe Sylvia, right? Where they like connect all the lines and they try to look at the killer's like stomping grounds and all this. This is a graph of the world's problems, all in one place. It is the most eye-opening image I have ever seen in my entire fucking life, hands down. This is the problem. This is the problems with the world summed up in one single image. This is the face of Satan. This is Satan's face. This is what, if you ever wondered what the face of Satan actually looks like, this is it. This is the image. It doesn't look like a face. You see the smile and all this? But I mean, it doesn't look like a face, but this is Satan's face smiling at you as he flexes his muscles and rapes and pillages and murders the world. This is it. I never seen it said so clearly. It's actually fucking crazy. Gatekeeper designations. I had no fucking idea. This, oh my god! I need to send this to my best friend. I've never seen the evil sussed out before like that before. That's like you know how they have the Bible for like God or whatever? This is like the Necronomicon. This is like the Palantir looking into the depths of the fucking shadow. This is the core of the fucking shadow. I've never seen it so fucking clearly. I've never seen it so clearly. Wow. I did not think I was gonna stumble on the fucking roadmap for the apocalypse tonight, but I think that's it. I think it's it. I think this is it. This is it. This is it. This is the roadmap of the apocalypse. Oh my god. It's scandalous. It's like watching a bunch of demons butt raping each other in a pit of fire. It's foul. It's foul as hell. It's disgusting to me. I might actually have to go throw up right now. I'll be right back. I'm sorry. Jesus Christ, dude. Oh. 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 I didn't puke. The core of the shadow. You can't stop it. You'd have to kill the internet. You'd have to stop the internet. It's done. They killed us. You can't stop it. They're done. They've already killed us. I'm just gonna get off it. They're done. They already killed us, and it's over. And the rape and the murder already happened, but it's being phoned in and telegraphed. So when we realize it, it'll be 1 second before the end.
Services that are so big, okay, that they are effectively gatekeeping required services for many people in the world. So again,
What's the document? The document. Where's the document? This is the roadmap of the apocalypse! I've never seen something so fucking foul! In my entire life, I've seen everything the internet's ever had to offer. It's not foul like this. This is the death of humanity. That's the death of humanity in a single image.
Gatekeeper in the European Union refers to a company where the size impacts the internal market. This is presumed the case if the company achieves an annual turnover in the European Economic Area equal to or above...
I hate them so much. How could I stop it? I can't stop it. It's like stopping the internet. You won't be able to, though. They'll produce it in caves, like some kind of drug if they have to. You can't stop the internet, and I don't want to. You can't stop this. Oh my God! Every once in a while, you glance over. You're trying to look at something about Apple or something like that, and you see the demons butt fucking right before the apocalypse, and you're like, "What?" And you're like, I just came here looking for Apple, and all I see is the destruction of humanity."
7.5 billion in each of the last 3 financial years. Last I checked, Apple is definitely hitting that amount. Okay, they're hitting the gritty there. The control of an important gateway for business users towards final customers. This is presumed to be the case if the company operates a core service with more than 45 million monthly active and users established.
Oh God, I'm sick.
And an entrenched and durable.
I feel sick. Oh God. How do I stop that? The death of the companies? Litigation? That's like the last boss of Hardcore Henry. How the fuck do you stop that guy? How do you stop this without like magical powers? How do you stop this? How do you stop this evil march of the bastards? How do you stop them? You'd have to kill them. I don't want to. What do? I can't kill them. I can't kill these sick, fucked up succubi, demon parasites, demon bankers, and demon stuff. What do we do? How do I stop these people? I can't. I'd have to take their job. I'd have to make their jobs illegal, or something like that. There's no solution. You can't tell these people to stop. They all it is commerce. It's just e-commerce. That's it. It's the death of the human race, like disguised as e-commerce.
Position. Now, by default, iMessage isn't thrown into this, but obviously a lot of companies like Google have basically been fighting the European Union and Samsung as well to make so that iMessage is thrown into this act. From Google's own SVP, they seriously said Apple's iMessage lock-in is a documented strategy using peer pressure and bullying. There's a bullying campaign as a way to sell products is disingenuous for a company that has humanity and equity as a core part of its market. I agree. Remember when Mother Nature showed up to Apple's headquarters? Yeah, Apple, you gotta think about humanity and equity right here. No, seriously, this is just Google and Samsung finding a way to get Apple basically playing ball. Now, at this moment in time, Apple surprisingly has announced, oh yeah, we're getting RCS support next year, so 2024. Now, to be honest with you, I honestly believe Jesus Christ would show up before Apple even let this happen. I honestly thought aliens were going to show up, integrate into our society, and we might even see the first legalization of humanitarian marriage on planet Earth, okay? I did not expect Apple to cave. This is baffling. So this is definitely a slap, I would say, from the European Union. I would have to imagine, because this is probably down the pipeline. And remember, Apple recently turned their phones into USB-C. Not because they wanted to. What are you, fucking crazy? It's because the Europeans were like, you gotta play ball there, pal. Otherwise, you can't release your phones in our neck of the woods. And the European Union is a pretty big neck of the woods. And Apple, as stoic as they are against this shit, they're gonna play ball, especially when the market's that big. So they said later next year we'll be adding support for RCS Universal Profile, the standard as currently published by the GSM Association. We believe RCS Universal Profile will offer better interoperability experience when compared to SMS or MMS. Really? Wow, this technology from 2008 is better than technology from 1997. Wow. God, dude. When they gotta play ball, I swear, these dudes suck their own faces off. This will work alongside iMessage. Key distinction: they're not talking about iMessage, and nor will they ever. Okay, they're just making the experience better for everyone, which will continue to be the best and most secure messaging experience for Apple users. Now, I thankfully haven't seen a lot of Apple users kind of go into like full defense mode, like, please, daddy, don't do this. Don't let the green bubbles get better. No, in reality, this is only a North America issue as far as I'm considering, okay? For a lot of my European friends and friends from back home in India, around the world that's not North America, a lot of people don't care about iMessage or bubble colors. For a lot of those people, they just use WhatsApp. Services like WhatsApp allows them to experience actual proper messaging between devices without any real issue. In all honesty, my wife, who used to be an iPhone girl while I was an Android boy, well, that's wild, that's a little cringy to say. We used to use Signal for a long time because honestly, we couldn't deal with the SMS services that Apple basically forced because I was an Android user for that time. And this is one of the things that wiles me about Apple too, right? Like, of course, playing ball should have happened years ago. And I don't think this came out of anything. Apple has basically been holding on to this for as long as they can. So again, this is just another sign of them basically taking an L and having to play along. So at this moment in time, a company known as Nothing jumped in, and if you don't know Nothing, Nothing basically produces Android devices. It's another Chinese, high-quality phone brand, which basically creates these Android devices that, I guess from the outside looking in, look almost close to iPhone devices. And to understand, a lot of companies are trying to break into this space because a lot of young people use iPhones, at least in North America. Now, these phones aren't cheap, in my opinion. They're also pretty much as expensive. You know, you're looking at a $1,000 phone right now here. And one of their big caveats is the fact that they have iMessage built in. And it comes with a pretty big asterisk. They're routing your messages through their services. So introduce something known as Sunbird, which is blue bubbles on your Android. Now, this is a chat messaging service that allows you to experience iMessage on an Android device. Now, it's not that you couldn't do this before. There were tools like AirMessage, which allowed you to install a server onto a Mac that would basically relay messages from your phone to iMessage as the service. And this would allow you to basically use iMessage on an Android device, provided you had a Mac sitting around. What these companies want to do is create services where you don't even need the in-between device because you send your data directly through them. So looking at the actual Sunbird promotional video, one thing that I wanted to show you is like super cringy here. So again, they start off talking about end-to-end encryption. Android says high-res media, no more green bubbles. Yeah, it is actually important for some people, as sad as it is. But according to their page, you basically sign up, connect iMessage. Now, that's a bit of a red flag personally. Now, Marquise Brownlee made a video talking about this, and he discussed a massive red flag, which one that I'll elaborate on. So listen to this.
Anyone using it. Same thing is also true about Beeper and the others. Because the way this one works, and I've confirmed this with Nothing, is when you sign in with an Apple ID, it's literally signing in on some Mac Mini in a server farm somewhere. And that Mac Mini will then do all of the routing for you to make this happen. You will never see or actually hold or use that Mac Mini. Now, no one else is supposed to be able to use or see that Mac Mini or your messages on it because it's all encrypted, but you are still logging in with your own Apple ID on someone else's computer. I don't know how else to put that, like that on its face.
This is why I think Marquise Brownlee, the questions that he asks is the reason why he's one of the top tech channels out here. So instead of glazing any further, good question that he asked here. You know why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, you should never trust a company to store your credentials and run your information through. Now, I kind of thought the way that they were doing this is, remember a while back when I made that video a couple of years ago where I was like, Apple's going to hate my Mac, and I virtualized my own Mac OS system? The way that I did it was I basically downloaded Apple's operating system from their servers, and I basically ran it under a virtualized environment. So I was thinking the whole time, the only way that this was going to work was they would have like hundreds of virtualized Macs, each associated with a special Sunbird or Nothing ID. And basically that would be like the Mac that would just be sitting somewhere in a server farm, and you would route information through it.
The router.
But obviously, I think that's going to be against Apple's like TOS, so you probably have to have real, actual hardware. Which also begs the question how economically viable this messaging platform is going to be. I can't imagine you can do too many instances of iMessage on one actual piece of hardware. So for them to have a bunch of Macs sitting in a cluster somewhere doing this shit makes me question the economic feasibility of this project, but it also brings in a very serious
Oh, I forgot
security
something
issue.
then. Oh, well.
Remember, no matter how much end-to-end encryption they can say, if that hardware can be accessed by anyone, remember, you are sending your personal photos, your videos, your messages to a random computer somewhere in the world and sending it to another phone. Ladies and gentlemen, right there, it doesn't matter. If the color of the bubbles are that important where you are willing to introduce such a fucking security risk, then you need mental goddamn help. Because there's no service in the world that is worth doing all of that over. Right there and then, that is already a red flag that nobody should be able to tolerate. Dude, Jesus could come down and start a company, and nobody should trust him that much, even if, you know, everything is above board. Look, at the end of the day, if you really want to eliminate these bubble colors and the limitations before Apple introduces RCS, just use something like Signal, just use something like WhatsApp, hell, Facebook Messenger, because at least in that department, stuff is still sent device to device, and there's no middleman in between that something shady could happen, okay? I understand nothing says that they're not going to do anything shady, but then again, that requires a massive level of trust, one that I don't think anybody should be putting in.
Are you going to piss Apple off?
I'm working under the assumption that Tim Cook is going to watch this video.
We've developed an app that allows you to iMessage from Android. You've likely heard of the blue bubble, green bubble debate, where Apple's lack of RCS support limits features between Android and iOS. That risks user privacy, causes discrimination, affects dating. I mean, it's even in a Drake song.
If a girl breaks up with you or a guy breaks up with you over the color of your bubbles, trust me, you dodged a red flag there, dude. That's the kind of person that'll cut your cock off at night, clean one slice. That said, though, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, Apple takes another beating, another L, and honestly, it makes choice for everyone in the global world using phones a lot better, okay? The more Apple L's, the better choices even Apple users get, okay? Sometimes for these big companies, having L's is ultimately a good, it's a W for you, all right? So ladies and gentlemen, that being said, this is me, Mudahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike, I am out.
Yep, it was good.
Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mudahar, and today
Thank you, some ordinary gamers for the excellent content from my channel. I'd like to sub to your stream.
Doing a little fact checking, okay? Now, recently a viewer sent me a little inquiry. They told me, Muda, do you know that the internet has a censorship bill that's passing November 15th? That's today. That's right now, actually.
Why do you keep doing that?
Ladies and gentlemen, when I hear the words internet censorship, it freaks me out. I really think that the internet shouldn't be censored. And I think that no matter what, the freedom to say whatever you want, the freedom to read whatever you want, the freedom to consume whatever you want, as long as it's not blatantly illegal, like anything involving children, obviously, should be a right, okay? It's something that I think we pride ourselves and we actually take for granted on this side of the world. Do you know there's entire countries like China, for instance, where trying to access the truth about what happened at Tiananmen Square, oh boy, this video just got brought down, or looking at your favorite Winnie the Pooh meme is actually not allowed in their country. Not only is the Great Firewall of China the biggest censorship tool in the world, but any kind of tool like that brought to our side of the world is something that I am vehemently against, okay? Even if you don't like reading something bad on the internet, even if something disturbs you, but it's not illegal, I think it has a right to exist on the internet, and that's just where my hardline beliefs are, okay? If you disagree with me, we can't agree to disagree. So when I heard the words internet censorship bill, I was like, oh God, I remember the days of SOPA, PIPA, COSA.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't remember what COSA is,
I do.
The Electronic Frontier Foundation basically told us in August 11th of this year that the Kids Online Safety Act was a bill that allows for a wide range of government penalties for online speech. If that happens, the access we have to information may be forever changed. COSA will make state prosecutors and federal bureaucrats the final arbiter of content moderation in the United States. And that's when the U.S. government wanted to ban depressing content. Basically, content that politicians believe will cause minors anxiety, depression, or encourage substance abuse. Now, obviously, anytime the government brings kiddos into the mix and says we're bringing this law in to make the kids safer, it's 99.9% of the time used to shuffle in laws that are designed to hurt society in the long term. But again, this actually isn't even about that, because the article that I was sent was this one: the Biden's internet takeover plan. Now, that's the first time I've ever seen a Truth Social link share. That's interesting. But this one got my attention. Whoa, internet takeover? Now, this one is written by a guy known as Tim Wildman, who says the Biden administration has asked the FCC to take complete control of the internet, the way internet service providers do business in America. Currently, it's a private sector. The FCC would take control and establish rules and regulations.
Sounds like the government I know. Yep.
Now, I'm going to be somebody that tells you this right now. The internet is kind of a goddamn requirement these days, okay?
Yep.
It's not so much a privilege anymore.
It's
generally, when a lot of people want to do work, when people want to apply for jobs or communicate with people around the world, the internet has become a tool that I think the public should have general or low-cost access to, okay? If my tax money goes to making the internet as a whole better, that's a lot better than sending my money to blow up people on the other side of the world.
Goddamn right. Testify, brother. Fuck your wars overseas. Why haven't we gone to space? Fuck your 20-year war in Afghanistan. Fuck the Republican Party. Fuck them for getting in this. Fuck the Patriot Act. Fuck your wars overseas. Should have put that to NASA. Fuck you.
Getting into wars that I don't care about. All right, good. The Lockheed Martin snipers aren't here yet. Okay, who decides that military?
I know, right? Are they gonna kill me?
Industrial complex, can't we?
No.
This would include dictating broadband prices to consumers, towers, and satellite locations, and expansion of services by your local internet provider. It would tightly regulate providers to the point that they would basically become an extension of the government itself. Now, of course, I always like getting to the facts of a situation, okay? I always like to fact check it. Now, the story gets a little wilder when I looked up from the office of Commissioner Brendan Carr, who is currently, as of right now, in charge of the FCC. They're the commissioner. So wait a minute, this organization's getting a power grab, but they're against it? Okay, the plot thickens. Let's read this. Democrats have been in charge of the FCC and administrative agencies for approaching 12 out of the last 16 years. They have had the opportunity over that stretch of time to put in place nearly all federal telecom policy of their choosing. In fact, the federal government has allocated hundreds of billions of dollars for the purpose of ending the digital divide, while Democrats have run the administrative state. I agree with President Biden on this point. The administration's broadband policies are failing. The costs of building internet infrastructure in this country have skyrocketed thanks to the Biden administration's inflationary policies. The administration has no plan for filling a now empty spectrum pipeline, one that is vital to America's economy and geopolitical leadership. Meanwhile, the FCC is just sitting on spectrum that would connect millions of Americans to new 5G services. The administration has needlessly blocked and delayed new infrastructure builds. Fiber and cell sites components are laying fallow in warehouses and laydown yards across the country during the government's failure to remove regulatory red tape. And the Biden administration is preparing to waste additional dollars through its multi-billion-dollar Internet for All initiative by pursuing extraneous goals at the expense of connecting Americans. So where they said the Biden administration, they're going hard left. They're blaming the private sector and free market capitalism for the administration's own policy shortfalls. Now, I'm not against the fact that obviously governments mismanage the fuck out of everything. But I'm also not a total fan of the free market running laissez-faire. The way that internet works in the United States, or at least even in Canada and in many parts of the world,
Victims of the laissez-faire,
is that internet can be very tight-fisted in the rural areas that you live in. Obviously, I live in Toronto, okay? I live in a major metropolitan area. I live in the greater Toronto area. And I have tons, not really, I have two choices for internet, okay? Either get fucked by Rogers or...
You know, I would like to leave America. I've liked to have left America like 15 years ago. I would like to leave America. Absolutely. Go to Canada. I don't know. Asia, Australia, probably Australia, something like that. I would like to leave America. The only thing keeping me here is my family. When they're gone, I believe I will be gone as well. I don't believe this is the place that I grew up, and I like take my future somewhere else, that where the American government and their fucking bullshit rules about drugs and laws and shit just doesn't destroy my life anymore. The government kind of destroyed my life with their rules about drugs, and they lost my faith completely.
Or I get fucked by Bell, okay? Thing is, I'm getting fisted one way or the other.
The worst enemy in my life wasn't the man who scared away the love of my life, or you know, who beat me physically like 15 times and I put in jail for 2 years. It was the government. The government did far more damage to me. Squelched my life, squelched my job, put me in prison, tried to put me in prison so many times, snared me up, made me live in terror for 5 years. And I would leave this country now if I could. It's anti-American, I know it is. But I mean, America was anti-me. The worst enemy I've ever had was my own country. And I really feel this. It, you know, brings tears to my eyes when I say it. My worst enemy in my whole life was not the man I put in jail for assault or any of this other shit, attempted murder. Or even the man who got me addicted to drugs or any of that stuff. The government was pretty bad, man. I feel like I feel like an American refugee, and I feel like I've been terrorized by my own government, and I have that deep fear that they're gonna kill me in the end. And this is the American government we're talking about. And I would really like to leave this place, but one of the things about having a record like I do, and keep in mind it's not a felony record, but it's a long record, it's like 30 charges or some shit, 28, is they don't let you leave. They don't, like, Canada won't let you in. Mexico, pretty much almost any other country in the world, unless they're like used to it. I'll go to some country that'll have me, and I believe I would like to leave this place. I'm sick of living in fear of them. I'm sick of what they did to my life. I'm sick of dealing with the damage left. I'm sorry. I'm sick of dealing with the life left over after the damage they caused me. And I'd rather look at a new sunset in a new place, or just die, one of those two, than ever deal with the American government again. I don't vote for their officials. I don't believe in their politics. I don't believe in most of the things that they do. I don't like what they did to my life. I don't like what they did to my friends. I don't like what they did, I don't like the police did to my friends. I don't, you know, this is not, I don't see how they could reconcile it. I don't see how they could fix that for me. I don't think money could fix it. They could offer me $10 million in a settlement. I don't think that would fix it. I don't, you know, I believe I would rather just get away from them. I have PTSD from being targeted by the government, and it's obvious as clear as day. And, you know, like, okay, 5 or 6 years ago, when I was still high on methamphetamine and I had, like, not lost the love of my life yet, but she wasn't around at that time or whatever, I would sit on my cell phone and I would think about reality and how I've been thinking about this all day. There's a video series, not a series at all, sorry. There's just a video that I want to do called A Frank Appraisal of My Own Life. I even like thought about the concepting and the branding and stuff. Try to start like a fad, like an internet fad. I wanted to call it FFXI, which is FAAOML, A Frank Appraisal of My Own Life. Or A Frank Appraisal of My Life.
See you soon.
Where I was gonna try and start like an internet thing. I was inspired by this thing of like this old thing they used to do, like Jenna Bubbles did, called Draw My Life. And I wanted to do Draw My Life in a different version of Frank Appraisal of My Life, because she just did a history of her life. Draw My Life, right? Yeah, Draw My Life by Jenna is this Jenna Marbles? I don't know. Yeah.
My name is Jenna Marbles, and I'm going to draw my life.
Now, this video always makes me cry like a little girl, so I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I just want to show you the concept, right? I don't want to draw my life, right? And you tell your story while you draw the life, and I always thought this was a wonderful little mini game. But I want to sit there in front of a camera, and I want to say all the bad and good things that happened in my life, and why I feel the way that I do, and why I would leave my government, and why I would leave this place to die and go die somewhere else. I feel like I'm dragging my corpse off the American battlefield, and I don't want to die here. I don't want to die here. And that's a bad crisis of faith. I don't think most people in American history actually have the history that I do, and it's just never been addressed by the media, or, you know, maybe I'm just making it into a bigger thing than it actually is. I don't know. I think people kind of have a sense of being like have a tendency to be a martyr and make a bigger deal out of things than they should. But I think if I were to actually show the world what it was to live in this place, and the targeting and what happened to me, I think they would agree with me that leaving this place isn't that crazy of an anti-patriotic thing to say. And I don't even think the country itself is that bad. I don't mind living here. I just don't feel safe. Does it make sense? I don't feel safe here. Like, they might still kill me. And I can't base that on anything other than all the other attempts that they made. And I want to do a video series called A Frank Appraisal of My Life, where I talk about the outside influences and what caused me to do the things that I did when I was there, and why this wasn't really a feasible thing to do to support my government or even my own country anymore. And I know it sounds like socialist and kind of crazy and backstabby and ingrate and ungrateful. But I mean, if you had been attacked by the U.S. government like I had been, you would feel the same way. And now I feel like I want to be a Fuji for my own fucking country now. And I would like to leave this place. It's weird because I own a home here. They're helping me financially. They're looking out for me. They're taking care of me. They're making sure I can eat. And I still would voluntarily leave. I think the damage has been done. And I would voluntarily leave this place. And even if it meant my death or starvation somewhere else, I would absolutely leave this place. I don't think most people have ever in this country have ever had an attack, but I don't think most people have ever been attacked by their own people like I have. Maybe JFK or I don't know, Martin Luther King. I haven't been shot yet, but I've definitely been attacked like that. I've been tortured by the system so badly that I would physically kill the people who were involved. Not like I want to or threatening to. I'm just saying that's how I feel. And I don't, for no good reason at all. I can't think of a reason. Because I did drugs, I guess. And, It's too much butter scraped over too much bread. It's me being too old and too fragile and too PTSD and too fucked up to actually take it. But when you basically been like the victim of a government, you don't have much left. You're essentially a refugee. You've been destroyed by your government, and you have to go find safety somewhere else. And that's how I feel. It has not been fun. Nobody was there. My family was there, but nobody was there. It took so long to suss it out. It was like 17 years of court cases and problems for no good reason at all. Just torture, essentially. And I mean, I guess I can show you the physical evidence of it. Okay, so this is the paperwork. See it? Make it bigger so you can see it. Sorry. This is the paperwork from 17 years of attacks by my government and my system on non-felony charges. You see it? This is all the halfway houses, the mental institutions, the paperwork from the courtrooms, the thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in fees and court costs, and all of the times I was arrested, all of the forms, all the charges, and I've never committed a felony, never been convicted of a felony. This was 17 years of torture. It's right here. It's clear as day. And I don't want to be here anymore. Not like life. I do want to be here. I'm not talking about like suicide or something like that. I'm not. I'm talking about I don't want to be a victim of this place anymore. I wish to leave. And I can't. And so, yeah, this is MSQ stuff. This to me is this is not sidetracking to me. This is MSQ. This stuff, you know, this is unacceptable. It was, yeah, it was them destroying me, actively trying to destroy me. And I don't know how to sum it up other than that. I think I would make my mother cry if I were to say it like how I just said it. But I don't care. She should know. She should know what they did. And I mean, she does know. She knows what they did, but she's never looked at it from the outside. And so I wish to do a video where I drop that bomb at the end of it and be like, I can't leave my own country because all of the bullshit that they attacked me with over 17 years prevented me from leaving. So the attack prevented the escape.
Right.
My own government attacked me so much that the attack prevented the escape, and now the other governments won't let me in their country.
You have a great day now.
Even though I don't have a felony. And, yeah, and, you know, I look at January 6th, and I'm like, oh, yeah, let's get in there and burn them. Fuck them. And I hate the fucking right. I hate the idiot fucking QAnon idiot members, QAnon shaman and all those idiots that stormed in there. I hate those people. They fucked up the revolution, you know what I'm saying? But, oh, yeah, let's go in there and fucking burn them. I have more reason than most to hate orcs. You know, more reason than most. And, yeah, I have, those guys don't have righteous fucking battles. Those guys are wannabes. You ever faced something like Mumia before? I have. 10 years in jail for a non-violent offense, non-violent, non-felony offense, some probation violation. You ever had a life like Mumia Abu Jamal before? And yeah, let's go burn Nancy Pelosi's office, you know? Don't care about Nancy Pelosi, but like whatever, like let's go burn that motherfucker. I'm not, you know, I'll incite a fucking revolution. I got no issue with it. I got more reason to hate them than most. And so like, you know, this shit, watching them do their internet fucking censorship and their, you know, their bullshit with letting like Apple and all those companies gatekeep and all their horse shit and their fucking Palantir and their spying and their deep state fucking shadow shit and all that shit. Yeah, that all can go suck 50 billion bags of dicks and disappear for all I care. I just want to leave. I want to leave this place. I wish to be given free passage to walk, even if it means like getting just my clothes together and leaving all my possessions here and being like, all right, you can have it all or whatever. I would like to walk down the beach like Rust and leave this place. Leave this place. Like walk down the beach north towards Canada or south towards Mexico, make my way as a journeyman or something like that and leave this place. You ever been fucking attacked by your own goddamn country so fucking much that you would gladly see them burn? And I want to do a video about this called A Frank Appraisal of My Life, because they started when I was young. They started like it reminds me of child molestation or something like that. They came at me when I was 15 years old, and they've been doing it since then. And they finally stopped when I was 39 years old over drugs. Fucking minor drug possession and stupid ass shit like that. Fucking drugs and like, come on, man. What the fuck? Receiving stolen goods and shit like that. Fuck them. Remember when we used to have free trade and you could actually buy something and you couldn't be prosecuted for it? Now it's gone. Free trade's gone, America.
when it comes to pricing myself.
And so, yeah, if you buy something stolen, I guess it's your fault, isn't it? You go to jail. That's the opposite of free trade. What the fuck do I know if something's stolen or not? I just want to buy it.
In this situation, I'm a lot like the Americans, okay? We really don't have a lot of choice for internet service providers, the people that we purchase our internet access from. Generally, if you live in an urban area, you probably have access to fiber optic connections, some of the best stuff in the industry. And your rates probably are better than somebody who's living maybe an hour out of town, an hour and a half, in a rural area. Their option for internet might only be expensive satellite internet, where they're paying more money than...
Like, they can have my family, they can have my home, they can have everything I own, they can have all my money, they can have all my assistants, whatever the fuck, they can have my entire legacy. They could kill my family. I still want to leave. I don't care. I still want to leave. I want to leave. I can't. I realized this way back in like 2017 when I tried to leave. Like 6 years ago, I just tried to leave. I tried to go to Canada with nothing but my passport and my money, right? And they were like, oh no, it turns out that way back in 2003, you sold some marijuana on a non-violent, non-felony marijuana charge. You sold $40 worth of weed to a police officer way back in 2003. And yeah, you can't enter our country. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. Wait 16 years. They were like, wait 16 years and it usually is fine.
Aggro.
And I thought, man, everyone keeps trying to get in this country. Try getting out. A frank appraisal of my life.
than you and me, but they're getting less of a service. To regulate the actual development of infrastructure across the country, across the world, is honestly a net good thing. It allows people who don't have a lot of money to be able to afford access to the internet in a manner that you and I enjoy, okay? The more people get on the internet, the better. So again, what happened is Biden gave the FCC marching orders. The president called on the FCC to implement a one-page infrastructure investment, which basically gives a breathtaking scope, all in the name of digital equity. All right, so this is an interesting term. It actually went to the fact sheet provided by the FCC to cover what they were discussing when it came to digital discrimination of access. So where they defined digital discrimination, which I found interesting, right here they said, in furtherance of our goal to facilitate equal access across, to broadband internet access services, we adopt the following definition of digital determination of access. So policies which affect differently impacted consumers' access to broadband internet, which I think is like defined like 25 megabytes a second or above. And basically it would provide...
When I think of what they did to my ex-M, how many times they put her in jail for non-felony fucking violence, or sorry, non-violent, non-felony drug charges and shit. All the time she had to spend, or how many nights in jail she spent. I just want to kill them. It's the kind of rage that you just can't even... Watching what they did to M in the weakest, most vulnerable time in her life made me so sick in my fucking soul. I hate them, and I really don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to vote for them. I don't want to be in the same country as them. To me, they're the enemy.
Them access based on their income level, race, ethnicity, color, religion, or national origin, or are intended to have such differential impact. Under the rules we
I went to 29 fucking court dates for my ex, while I dealt with 17 of my own, and neither one of us were guilty of felony charges. And I think take those people's jobs, get them the fuck out of here. They're destroying my people, destroying my country, and destroying my life. And they destroyed my life, absolutely destroyed it. Made it impossible to ever make it. And Yeah, I would absolutely like to full-blown pretty much either leave or get them out of here, one or the other. I'd rather leave. They can go ahead and destroy this place if they want. I would prefer to just leave. Like, you know, I can't do it. Can't do it, man. Can't sit there and watch them destroy everything I love and everyone I love and everything I've ever known. I'm out of it now. I've been out of it now for 2 years. It's going to take 38 years before I feel better about it. Because that's how long they did. Well, no, it's less than that. It's going to take like 25 years to feel better about it. Because that's how long they did it to me.
Today, we will investigate conduct alleged to be motivated by discriminatory intent. So when I look
discriminatory intent. That's pretty much like a perfect phrase for what I'm talking about. It was discriminatory intent. That's a really good phrase for it. They discriminated against me because I was like poor white trash with drug problems and stuff, and they kept fucking me. It was like grab the KY, spread those cheeks, and get to paying courts and doing court dates all of your fucking life and doing drug fucking tests all of your fucking life, and it just... No. Just no. Just no. No. Would leave if I could.
Some of the actual users that were reading this, for instance, this article that came from the America Family Association, which is the first time I've ever heard about.
So I intend to make a video. I'm going to make a video soon too. I've been thinking about this for like a year. I'm like, I want to do a frank appraisal of my life. I just don't want to be famous for that video. That's the problem. I don't want to be famous for that video, but I do want to do a frank appraisal of my life where I tell the world what I thought of what they did to me. Because I've never gotten that privilege before. I've done it in courtrooms, but I've never told the public what they fucking did to me, and I kind of would like to before I die. And I want to beg the world to let me leave. You know what I'm saying? What it is, I'm going to quote Metric. What it is and where it stops, nobody knows. You gave me a lie I never chose. I want to leave, but you won't let me go.
Up saying that because of all of this stuff,
and that's Blindness by Metric, right? Like, this is my favorite song of all time. This is my favorite song. It's called Metric Blindness. That's what it is. It's blindness, right? She summed it up perfect, right? Send us a blindfold. Most of my life, it was like this. Since I was 17, it was like, send us a blindfold, send us a blade, because dealing with you, tell the survivors, help is on the way, but I never did get it. For 25 years, I didn't get it, not until I was 38. I was a blind fool, and I never complained, not until now, not until I was like 39. I just never complained about this. I just accepted it and thought it was my own fault. Nope. All the survivors singing in the rain, it was my fault, but it was their fault too. I was the one with the world at my feet, and then you took it from me. I got, you know, and now we've got us a battle, but you can leave it up to me, because what you turned me into is like this monster. You turned me into a monster. There's nothing I can't handle. Rape, they would have to be murder, because anything else, even rape and stuff, I can handle it. Rape doesn't scare me because it's not as bad as what the government did to me. Not as bad. If somebody was like, would you rather get butt raped 5 times by a large man or deal with the 17 years of the system that you did? I'd take butt rape by a large man 5 times. Not because I want it, but because and it would be worse. But like, not really. No. I would take physical stuff like torture. Would you rather do 10 years in Guantanamo Bay or 17 years after what they did here? I'd rather do Guantanamo Bay. 10 years in Guantanamo Bay. It would have ended sooner. That's how you know you've been tortured by your goddamn government. And I want a frank appraisal. I'm going to take it. I'm writing the script right the fuck now. I'm writing the script as we speak. I'm not going to write this script. I'm going to speak from my heart on this one. So I'm writing a script right on stream as we speak. And, you know, before I throw the peace sign or whatever and leave this place, I'm going to drop a frank appraisal. So if anybody ever asks me why, I say, cite the fucking video and you'll fucking understand. I was tortured by my goddamn government. Supposedly the best government in the world, and I want out of here. I don't ever want to be victim to them. I don't feel beholden to them. I don't feel like I owe them anything. I don't want to be a citizen. I would prefer to leave, but they've stopped that. They blocked it. I did, like, honestly, you know, I would take walking to Canada or walking to fucking somewhere. I don't know, catching a boat or something like that with nothing but the clothes on my back if it meant never dealing with these people ever again. And my parents and all of these people all the time, my PTSD therapists, they tell me all the fucking time, right? It doesn't matter. It's over now, and you have to stop living the cycle of this in your head, and you're sick and you're stuck in it. And I said they didn't stop. They didn't stop doing that shit to me. What is this now? Oh, okay. Are we full? No, we're not full. Yeah, and so yeah, and I would like to leave, and that's how I would close the video too. And I would like to leave, but if I were to go to the border right now, they would say your record is such that we cannot have you. I know because I've done it in the last like 3 years. They're like no, and that is not the America I grew up in. That is Nazi Germany.
So some of them actually came from this text where basically they said the FCC would gain extra rules, like extra regulations. For instance, they could regulate the following.
Like, I find it very easy not to date. I find it very easy not to have friends. I find it very easy not to make connections. I find it very easy not to do normal human things a lot, because I'm like, why would anybody ever want to be involved with anybody like me? I've had a target painted on my back for so fucking long for no good goddamn reason under this earth or whatever. It's like, what? That I'm scared that my friends will get shot if they're around me. It's not like that reality of kind of thing, but it's like that's the irrational fear that I've got.
Is depleted.
No, this is. You want me to do grind east to the bridge or whatever? Yeah, okay. So he blocked all of it? Yeah. Are you gonna kill these or? Fucking annoying.
For every internet service provider, such as their network infrastructure deployment, network reliability, upgrades, maintenance, consumer premise equipment, and installation. So yeah, a lot of companies, for instance, internet provider companies, depending on where you live, will absolutely shaft you in things like services or maintenance. Imagine when you have to get your internet fixed and you call up your internet service provider and you live out in the middle of the boonies and they're like, yeah, we're gonna send out an agent, maybe Christmas 2030, that work for you? No? Well, what option do you have? If the government can regulate a baseline for accurate, proper service and maintenance, yeah, that's actually a good thing, and the government should be doing that. Network infrastructure deployment is so important. Basically, if you look at a broadband map of America right now, ladies and gentlemen, right now, okay? And again, this is provided right by the FCC. You can see that in blue, there's 100% coverage of fixed internet. There are parts of the country where people only have mobile internet access. For instance, right here, when it comes to Idaho, there are patches of Idaho that literally have no goddamn internet. But again, this is the wilderness area. So that means if you live in the wilderness in your own little cabin, good luck getting internet. If you live in this patch, you get maybe 0.20% mobile coverage, which just means satellite. There are still parts of the country that do not have proper internet services. And that's actually not a good thing. And even in parts of the world where like they have 100% coverage, the amount of companies, sometimes as low as one provider exists, meaning there's no competition. They could screw you anytime you want. This, if we're talking about deploying and creating an infrastructure and getting companies all on the same board and forcing them to spend some of the billions of dollars they make a year, ain't a bad idea. Then of course they say things like speeds, capacities, latency, data caps, throttling, prices, promotional rates, imposition of late fees, opportunity for equipment rental, installation time, contract renewal terms, service termination terms, and use of customer credit and account history. Yeah, I would really hope the government regulates some of the shadier practices. For instance, even in Canada, when you apply for like certain internet services, fiber services, they will just do hard credit checks all over you. And when it comes to pricing, there are parts of the country, like I said at the beginning, that people pay more for shit internet, and the companies don't care. If you're paying for it and they're the only game in town, what fucking reason do they have to upgrade and provide you a decent baseline service? They don't. You have no option. You have no competition. Spread your cheeks, baby, because you're taking it all the way up there. No lube. Then, of course, mandatory arbitration clauses, pricing, deposits, discounts, customer service, language options, credit checks, marketing or advertising, contract renewal, upgrades, account termination, transfers, service suspension, and other covered entities. So, where I guess the only aspect of censorship maybe comes into is the FCC regulating things like service suspensions, right?
Aggro.
But even then, all of these regulations seem like the government is just bringing shit up to a...
Oh, really? That's insane. $100 for 8 gigabyte upload and download speed not too long ago. That is just, or 8 megabyte, yeah, 8 megabyte, still no fiber. Oh, okay. Oh. Well, I hope that changes. That sucks, you know. I'm sorry. That's like my worst nightmare. Oh, God. I've dealt with it before, and I'm dealing with it now. Rural, like, thank God, for some reason, in this rural area where I live, this is the fastest internet I've ever had in my life. I don't know why. It was faster than Denver. Something about the Comcast out here, they're on fire. They wired this place well. I like, even on the cheap plan, like 5 years ago, we used to get like 800 megabytes, you know. And now it's like a gig. And with my VPN, it's like 440. It's like, after the VPN, it's 440, right? Let's go look. Yeah, oh, I know. Oh, no. That's the worst problem in the world. Trust me, I know. I did it in the madhouse. All the walls were brick, and so we couldn't get Wi-Fi internet. The brick walls just kill it. And there was nothing I could do about that. I was trapped there. The system put me there. I couldn't go anywhere. It was like jail, right? So at least it was a nice jail where I could play video games. I count my blessings that I never did anything wrong, and the madhouse that they submitted me to and put me in had brick walls, so we couldn't have internet and stuff. But at least I was allowed to play video games in there for no, like, why all that stuff happened is beyond me. But anyways, even though they did that to me and I ended up in the madhouse and stuff, the brick walls prevented the internet, and that was the hardest thing I have ever almost dealt with, trying to make like 3.7 megabytes work for Rust, between 3 and 18 megabytes to work for Rust. And I constantly disconnected and constantly had problems and constantly cussed and constantly raged because of the fucking internet and all that. And so I feel ya. You have my sympathy. I've been there. I know what that's like. It's not fun. It's like one of the worst places I've ever been in my life. I know the struggle with that.
Basic baseline. Look, the internet is an important tool, and making sure that in the world's richest country right now, that at least every user has some baseline services is ultimately a net good. And again, I get that people are scared that they're paying for other people's internet services, maybe out of their own pocket, specifically for individuals that are in a low-cost area. But again, I'd rather the money we pay in taxes go towards our own people versus going to the military-industrial complex and shuffle to the other side of the world, okay? Look, at the end of the day, these regulations aren't bad, okay? Regulations are not horrible. Again, I don't trust the government with anything, period. But having a baseline for a lot of these important services is kind of a needed thing. So again, I looked further into that entire thing, and where I went to the only part where people could construe maybe censorship, where they talked about digital discrimination. For instance, under the rules, we will investigate conduct alleged to be motivated by discriminatory intent, as well as conduct alleged to have discriminatory effect based on income level, race, ethnicity, consistent with the definition of equal access in the statute. So let's look at equal access and what they actually mean. So here they mentioned in it, not later than 2 years after November 15, 2021, the Commission shall adopt final rules to facilitate equal access to broadband internet. The most baseline shit. They're not even talking about gigabit internet, fiber, whatever. They're just talking about basic 25 megs a second. Basically, they'll take into account the issues of technical and economic feasibility presented by the objective. So again, preventing digital discrimination of access based on income level, race, ethnicity, color, religion, or national origin. I don't know why they necessarily mention things like race, ethnicity, color, religion, or national origin. I feel like language, I don't know what race and ethnicity has to do with digital discrimination. Maybe when it comes to purchasing an internet service on the point of sale, maybe that's what they're getting at. Income level seems the most important, right? Obviously, for people that can't afford decent internet, they shouldn't be completely priced out of such a, I guess you could say, necessity of this.
When you get better, you end up realizing how bad it was, and that's the state, that's the phase that I'm in. You realize how bad it was when you get better and you're not like some drugged out psycho anymore, and you're normal, and you've been on a normal diet for like 3 years, and you've been sleeping, and you're sober, and you're in a good place, and you're different. You go back and you look at the treatment you receive, and you make a frank appraisal of what happened, and you're like, oh God. And that's the state I'm in right now. I'm thinking back about how bad that actually was. And I think there's a reason that drugs are so rampant in this country, is I think most of us have to be high enough to deal with them, you know.
This point in life. That kind of comes
And
at
they
me,
cause the problems that
people
cause
may
those
look at it as
problems.
slightly inflammatory, and they
And
use
it's
the
all
word
a terrible, it's like a terrible cycle. It, like the recidivism causes the recidivism, and it's...
task force to prevent digital discrimination. And again, the task force is charged with coordinating the development of rules and policies to combat digital discrimination and promote equal access to broadband, overseeing the development of model state and local policies, and improving how the Commission seeks feedback from persons facing digital discrimination in their communities. And of course, they even reference one of their research papers for this, or one of their surveys. Now, when you go to their actual website, the FCC, they say regardless of where everyone is, they need to access high-speed broadband services, and this is usually defined as 25 megabytes a second. So again, it's not massive speed, but yeah, they keep mentioning income, race, ethnicity, or religion of the communities they will serve. I guess they're trying to basically bypass any possible barrier, even though it's really hard for me to see race, ethnicity, maybe if you're looking at it systemically, but they want to promote equal.
It is systemic.
For everyone,
You're a Canadian.
no matter what.
You're a Canadian. You don't know. You've never been in the inner cities, going to the fucking food stamps office and seeing everybody sick and fucked up on drugs and all this shit, right? You've never been there, and they look at you, and you're like a minority, and they're like, get in line, you know.
To access the internet, which again is a requirement for at least getting like some jobs or participating in today's modern digital society. Now, going back to the actual complaint written by the actual FCC chairman, there was 2 things that hit me like a truck. One of them was the price controls. Last month at the 11th hour, the FCC slightly softened its proposal to use Title II proceeding to regulate broadband rates. Now we know why. The Section 6506 order that the FCC will vote on next week states that the FCC can use it to regulate the price and even the profitability of an ISP. The FCC arrogates to itself the power to review and determines the lawfulness of promotional pricing and discounts. It even puts the use of credit checks squarely in the process. Again, I really do have no soft spot for the profitability, or rather the insane amounts of money some of these ISPs earn. If it means pricing internet properly versus the insane rates some of these ISPs do, because they know they have no competition, I'm totally okay with that. And then, of course, they even question the idea of the fact that there's more regulation somehow, where they say up here that landlords are covered, construction crews are covered, marketing agencies are covered, banks are covered, the government is covered, all newly regulated by the FCC and liable for any act or omission that an agency determines has an impermissible impact on a consumer's access to broadband. Congress never authorized the FCC to regulate these industries or entities. So to all the businesses and individuals that'll be subject to the regulation for the first time ever, welcome. I hope you have good lawyers. Dog, I'm pretty sure banks, marketing agencies, and construction firms have some pretty goddamn good lawyers, the government included. And again, to be honest with you, I think it's totally fair to have some baseline regulations to build the internet infrastructure. You can't have major cities like New York, Los Angeles, Miami to be internet like havens, I guess, and then leave people who are basically living out in the sticks to stay in their point in time. If they need to catch up to 2023 standards of digital interactions, that's totally okay. And like this article says, a successful administration takeover will result in poorer service, higher prices, and less privacy. Now this is where I get into like the misinformation clearance. So I didn't read anything about censorship or any technical tool to spy on users. So I have no idea where this is getting into less privacy. I guess their implication is because the government is directly involved now in more things with internet service providers, maybe they can sneak something in there that opens up more data that you create that gets sent off to the government, maybe. But that's a severe extrapolation. And again, poorer service and higher prices, it really sounds like the government is trying, at least, to regulate some level of pricing. So even the most low-cost people in the world, in the country, can afford some level of basic internet access. We're not talking enough to stream 8K video games and movies, just basic access, which I think is kind of a necessity at this point in society, okay? We do need the internet for a lot of things that isn't just porn and YouTube. Now, this moment in time, I think a lot of these bills get kind of scary to me because it feels like they come from a place of political arguing, and I don't really get into the politics of things. You know, if you ask me about Biden, for instance, personally speaking, the U.S. age of retirement is 65. Don't know why we keep letting these senior citizens like Biden, Trump, whatever, get into power. Maybe somebody of a reasonable age should be leading the world's most powerful country. But the censorship stuff was really important. Look, I live in Canada, okay? Why would I care about a U.S. law? Because anything that happens in the United States affects services that everyone around the world uses, okay? Most of the tech services in the world come from the United States. So I'm always worried when it comes to digital censorship. Now, I've done my due diligence reading this bill, and I cannot find anything for the life of me that says anything about censorship. So there's really nothing to worry about other than a few of these ISPs, some of the CEOs may have to end up losing some of the millions they make in higher costs on running their business. And if that means better service for all of us unanimously and a little less money for some of the richest scumbags in the telecom space, trust me, you will not find a violin small enough, okay? It's not gonna happen. And this is where, like, when I got this letter, I was like, man, why is it that this one article is talking about this, but, you know, organizations like the Electronic Frontier Foundation that have talked against internet censorship since the beginning of time
Fucking resisted SAP.
That's because this is all bullshit.
They got rid of that.
Rich telecom companies being forced to actually not play unfair, develop the infrastructure, and not price gouge the fuck out of the most poor in society, okay?
Yep.
And I think that's ultimately a net good.
Testify.
And, yeah, if it means these telecom companies piss and shit themselves a little, sure.
Oh,
but
well.
never in this bill did it ever come across that the internet was going to be censored. And before I end, that whole concept is a little tough to grasp. Remember, internet access, if you look at it technically, is just routers talking to routers. Big routers at the ISP level talking to others. The one country in the world cannot globally control the internet of large. So no matter what, censorship on the internet will always be censorship on the internet will always be this battle that governments try to pull off, but no one will ever truly achieve. At least that's the hopium I keep snorting. But that said, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mudahar, and yeah, kind of a little technical video, but this is a topic that's very important.
Every now and again, a video game decides to do...
Thank you, Some Ordinary Gamers, for the excellent content from my stream. Thank you, Josh Stripe Plays, for the excellent content from my stream. I've liked and subbed to your channel. I love Mirror's Edge, one of my favorite games, and it definitely changed the world.
one thing really well. The designers
Was it
take
good,
just
Mirror's
one
Edge?
type,
Yes, it
one
was.
focused gameplay style, one experience they want the player to have, and they work on doing that thing better than anyone else. No extra systems, no bloat, just focused design. And while these games don't appeal to everyone, they strongly appeal to players who want that one thing. If a mechanic doesn't support that one thing, it's not needed. Like how Doom lets you shoot demons. There's no deep story, no upgrade system, no points of interest or audio logs to discover. You just shoot
Just
stuff.
kill.
It does that really well. Classic games
Yep.
sometimes become classic because they do their central mechanic better than anyone else. And they often end up changing the industry in that specific design area. So what if movement, just the process of navigating a game, was so fun it became the game itself? Hi.
Josh!
Now, there have been video games focused on movement before, specifically the original Prince of Persia game, which featured rotoscope
Sands of
movement,
Time,
realistic
or the
climbing,
original.
jumping,
No, the original was the best one, yeah.
and indie games like Cluster Truck, but they never quite captured the public's imagination as much as, say, shooting something or driving did. In the past, movement was seen as this necessary evil, this transition period between where the game actually happened, not the game itself. So in 2008, the game development company DICE, best known for the Battlefield series, decided they were going to make a game purely about
DICE.
movement, and it was going to do movement better than any other game before. They wanted to do movement so well, in fact, that movement would be the entire reason to play the game. The process of moving through the level was no longer a transition between gameplay moments, but the gameplay itself. A first-person, parkour-based speed game. And that game was Mirror's Edge. And it did indeed do movement incredibly well. In fact, it had excellent level design, beautiful stylized graphics, smooth and responsive controls, great character animation, and a rather satisfying feeling of speed and fluidity, especially when you managed to actually pull off the crazy parkour idea that you had. It even had a story written by Rhianna Pratchett, daughter of legendary author Terry Pratchett. So why isn't Mirror's Edge more famous, and why didn't it change the industry more than it did? It sold well enough to get a sequel a few years later in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and those who played the original do
I like
speak
Catalyst, I own it.
So why
I
did
bought
this
it.
game or this franchise stick around? To find
On
out,
PS4.
I've gone back and replayed the
PS4.
whole thing, from hidden rooftops to damp sewers to
Catalyst on
climactic
PS4 is
shootouts in
good.
high-rise offices. I'll critique the movement, the gunplay, the story, and then answer a simple question: Mirror's Edge, was it actually any good? As usual, a massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon, YouTube, and Twitch who keep this channel alive. More information on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin. Nowadays, parkour is probably best known from the 2009 cold opening of The Office Season 6, where Mike and Lucy
Parkour!
roll around on the furniture and then Andy jumps into the box. Lots of people remember parkour as this flash-in-the-pan fad, but it was actually quite popular for several years before that. Cast your mind back to 2003. Over here in the UK, Channel 4 released a documentary called Jump London, which followed 3 urban freerunners, focusing on the French freerunner Sébastien Foucon as they performed the sport of parkour, which was relatively unknown at the time. It was explained parkour was just the process of moving from point A to point B as fast as and as stylishly as possible. It was a combination of running and gymnastics. The documentary was a hit, and suddenly parkour was known about in the UK. Then 2 years later, in 2005, there was a follow-up documentary called Jump Britain, again following Sébastien Foucon, but now including the group Urban Free Flow. Jump Britain travelled around the country and performed parkour on various famous landmarks and obstacles. Now, I loved this documentary as a teenager, and I will never forget the awe-inspiring moment when Sebastian jumps over a gap in the open roof of the Millennium Stadium in Wales. It was an awe-inspiring stunt. It was an incredibly dangerous stunt, and it was done to show off how interesting parkour could be to watch. Watching these athletes at the top of their game performing effectively death-defying stunts